Hello students, today I am going to begin a new chapter in class 11, class 12 physics, electromagnetic induction. Now, what is electromagnetic induction? So, see here there is a term magnetic flux. Magnetic flux. What is magnetic flux? You know first this. It is denoted by the symbol phi b. Like it is just like the electric flux. Here we denote it by phi b. As you know that in the electric flux, how do you calculate the electric flux? It is the amount of electric lines of force which passes through a given surface perpendicularly. And how do you evaluate that? That can be evaluated by vector E dot vector A. It is surface integral of vector E dot surface integral of electric field over that surface. It is clear. By this way we can calculate the electric flux. Electric flux is a scalar quantity. In the same way, magnetic flux is also a scalar quantity. This is also a scalar quantity. And what is magnetic flux? Amount of magnetic lines of force. Amount of magnetic lines of force which pass through a through a given surface perpendicularly. Given surface perpendicularly. That is known as the magnetic flux. It's clear. Magnetic flux, amount of magnetic lines of force which pass through a given surface perpendicularly, will be magnetic flux associated through that surface. Will be magnetic flux associated through that surface. Through that surface. Just like the electric field, electric flux, it is also a scalar quantity. Means magnetic flux phi b, it is a scalar quantity. Here its formula is also same as magnetic flux, electric flux. Phi b, it is the scalar product of magnetic field vector and area vector. In the uniform magnetic field over a planar area, we can use this formula. But if suppose the field is non-uniform, area is also not planar, so we can use this formula. Surface integral of magnetic field over that surface. Surface integral of magnetic field over that surface. So you can see here magnetic flux, it gives the amount of magnetic lines of force which passes through a given surface perpendicularly. It's clear. Now this is the product of magnetic field and area. So what is the SI unit of magnetic flux? SI unit of magnetic flux, it will be equal to, you can see here, what is the SI unit of magnetic field? It is Tesla into area in meter square, Tesla meter square. There is another unit of magnetic field, Newton per ampere per meter. This is the unit of magnetic field into meter square. Therefore, it will be Newton meter per ampere. Newton meter per ampere. So these are the two units which are the units of magnetic flux. Now there is one more unit of magnetic flux, and that unit is SI unit of phi b of magnetic flux. magnetic flux. So it is magnetic flux. It is denoted by which symbol? Phi b. It is Weber. It is Weber. In short, we can write 1 WB. It's clear? Means 1 Weber will be equal to 1 Tesla meter square equals to 1 Newton meter per ampere. It's clear. All the three are same. All the three are same. It's clear. So what is magnetic flux? It is the amount of magnetic lines of force which passes through a given surface perpendicularly. That is known as the magnetic flux. Now see here. From here, if you deduce the formula of B, it's clear. This will be equal to vector B dot vector A, that we can also write as BA cos theta, where theta is what? Angle between vector B and vector A. Angle between vector B and vector A. Now see here, you can see, as you know that the product of B and A, magnetic field and area, is equal to magnetic flux, since phi B is equal to B into A. So what is B? B, as you already know, that it is strength of, it represents the strength of magnetic field. It is the magnetic field intensity. It is the magnetic field intensity. It's clear. If you see from here, if you deduce the definition of B, definition of B is what? Here it is the magnetic flux through unit area. It's clear. Magnetic flux through unit area. Therefore, magnetic field. Magnetic field means quantitatively it is the magnetic field intensity. In quantitative terms, it is magnetic field intensity, magnetic field strength. Magnetic field intensity, magnetic field is quantitatively described as magnetic flux through unit area. Quantitatively, it is described as the magnetic flux through unit area. It's clear. So that's why it is also known as magnetic flux density. That's why it is given another name, magnetic flux density. Magnetic flux density means B, represented by B. Here the other name of the B is magnetic flux density. If the magnetic lines of force are closer in any area, suppose this is the pattern of the magnetic field in any area. This gives the pattern of magnetic field in some area. It's clear. If you see here, one point is P and other point is Q. At which point magnetic flux density is more? So at point Q, lines of force are closer, therefore here magnetic flux density is more. Means magnetic flux density at Q is more than at P. Therefore, we can say that magnetic field at the point Q is greater than the magnetic field at the point P. Now, what is the dimensional formula of magnetic flux? That is also one important term. dimensional formula of magnetic flux phi b. So as you already know, its unit is what? Unit you have already seen that it is Newton meter per ampere. Newton means what? It is MLT minus 2. Meter means L upon ampere, that is A. So it is equals to ml square. What will be the dimensional formula? ml square T minus 2 A minus 1. This is the dimensional formula of magnetic flux. Now after this, electromagnetic induction. Electromagnetic induction, in short we write it as EMI. Now see here, EMI. In 1820, Oersted had discovered, there was one German scientist Oersted had discovered, already you have studied the magnetic effect of electric current, discovered that electric current can produce magnetic field, This was discovered by Oersted experimentally in 1820, that electric current can produce magnetic field, and how much magnetic field will be produced, that we can find by using Biot and Savart's law, that we can find by using Ampere's circuital law. It is clear how much magnetic field a current carrying conductor can produce, that is found by that way. It is clear. Faraday was the great scientist of that time. Faraday was the great philosopher, and there is a principle of philosophy that nature loves symmetry. Means, according to this principle, for every phenomena there is an opposite phenomena also. For every phenomena which take place in the nature, there is a reverse phenomena also. So, since the Faraday was the great scientist as well as the great philosopher, so he had applied that principle of philosophy in his discovery. And he told that if electric current can produce magnetic field, then magnetic field can also produce the electric current. Faraday had told that if electric current is producing magnetic field, therefore magnetic field will also produce the electric current. And for this he had performed the series of experiments for 11 years. And after performing those series of experiments, he got success in 1831. In 1831, he discovered experimentally that a magnetic field can produce electric current. Magnetic field can produce electric current. Now see here, before coming over this, I want to tell you one more thing. By using this analogy of the Faraday, there was one scientist Seebeck, and in 1819, Joule's heating effect was discovered. Joule's heating effect. According to the Joule's heating effect, electric current can produce heat energy. Electric current can produce the heat energy, that we know. When Faraday had told that the every phenomena is having its opposite phenomena also, and he told that magnetic field can produce the electric current, so Seebeck has applied this analogy of the Faraday in this case, and he discovered that heat energy can produce the electric current. Heat energy can produce the electric current. That is now known as, in 1820, by by giving this phenology by the Faraday, in 1820, Seebeck had discovered that heat energy produces the electric current, and for this he had taken two dissimilar metallic plates, one metallic plate of copper and other metallic plate of iron. There were two dissimilar metallic plates which were joined end to end. End to end means one end was this and the other end was this. He kept both the ends at different temperatures. Suppose this at 10 degrees Celsius and this at 100 degrees Celsius. So he found that when a temperature difference is created, then in this an electric current is produced. In this an electric current is produced. Means electric current flows this way. Means here the temperature difference is producing the electric current. More the temperature difference, more the electric current. So from here he had proved that heat energy can produce the electric current, and this he had found by using the Faraday's concept, by using the Faraday's analogy. It's clear. So now you see, once again come on this topic. So Faraday had performed series of experiments with the help of a current carrying coil, with the help of a coil connected with galvanometer and a powerful magnet. You can see here Faraday had performed series of experiments with the help of coil connected with galvanometer and a powerful magnet. He performed a series of experiments with the help of coil connected with galvanometer and a powerful magnet. Means in his experimental setup there was a coil which was connected with galvanometer, and galvanometer is a device which is used to detect the presence of current in any circuit. Here you can see this is a powerful magnet, north pole and south pole, and this is the galvanometer which is connected with the coil. Here in this there is no source of electric current. Faraday found that when Faraday found that when a relative motion is created between both. Faraday found that when a relative motion is created between both, then galvanometer shows a deflection. Galvanometer shows a deflection. Now, what was the observation of Faraday? That when a relative motion is created in between both. Relative motion means when the separation between both is changing with time. How can you create the relative motion? Suppose this is the magnet, and this is a coil. Now, once the coil is moved towards the magnet, and then coil is moved towards the magnet and then away from the magnet. It's clear? Coil is moved towards the magnet, then away from the magnet. So what will happen? Separation is changing. The other way of producing the relative motion, magnet is moved towards the coil or magnet is moved away from the coil. It's clear? Once again, there is the relative motion. Third is, both are moved in the opposite direction. When both will be moved in the opposite direction, their separation will change. It's clear? Or both are moved towards each other. But if both are moved with the same speed, in the same direction, then there is no relative motion. It's clear? Means how can you create the relative motion? By keeping this at rest and moving this towards the magnet, away from the magnet, or by keeping coil at rest and moving magnet towards the coil, away from the coil, or by moving both with the different speeds in the same direction, or with any speed in the opposite direction. What happens? Relative motion will be created. But when both are moved with the same speed in the same direction, there is no relative motion. So Faraday had found that when a relative motion is created between both, then galvanometer shows the deflection. Galvanometer is showing the deflection, therefore there must be some current. So from here he had concluded that because of the relative motion, a current is induced. And this current persists only so long there is the relative motion. He found that current remains only so long there is relative motion. As soon as the relative motion stops, there is no current. It's clear? Secondly, he had found that the magnitude of induced current is directly proportional to speed of relative motion. Means faster the relative motion, more will be the induced current. Galvanometer will show a larger deflection. And thirdly, he had observed that on reversing the direction of relative motion, direction of current is reversed. Now, what is its meaning on reversing the direction of relative motion? Means once the relative motion is such that the separation is decreasing with time, and then its reverse motion is such that separation is increasing. Now separation is increasing. Its reverse motion is separation is decreasing. It's clear? So these were the four observations. Number one, as long as there is a relative motion between the coil connected with galvanometer and a powerful magnet, galvanometer shows the deflection. which means some current is induced in the coil, and since the coil is in the closed circuit, therefore galvanometer is showing the deflection. Secondly, he found that this deflection persists only so long as there is the relative motion. As soon as the relative motion stops, as soon as the separation between them will stop changing, there will be no deflection, induced current will disappear. Thirdly, he had found that the magnitude of induced current is directly proportional to magnitude of the relative speed, means how faster the relative motion take place. If relative motion is more faster, then there is the greater deflection, means greater current. And fourthly, he found that on reversing the direction of relative motion, direction of current is reversed. These were the 4 observations of Faraday's experiment. But later, Faraday had discovered that actually the relative motion is not the cause of inducing the EMF. Not the real cause of inducing the EMF, not the real cause of inducing the current. It is something else which take place because of the relative motion, due to which EMF induced, due to which current is inducing. And what was the cause of the electromagnetic induction? He named this phenomena as electromagnetic induction. Faraday named this phenomena of induction of current in the coil when a relative motion is created in between the coil and magnet as electromagnetic induction. Now see here, what is the cause of electromagnetic induction? Cause of electromagnetic induction. Of EMI. If we see the pattern of lines of force coming out from any magnet. See here, suppose this is the north pole of some magnet, and the lines of force which come out from it. You see here, I am drawing the pattern of these lines of force. This is the pattern of magnetic lines of force produced by a north pole of the magnet. It's clear. Here these lines of force are running in this direction, moving out from the north pole, going in this direction. And here I have taken one coil which is consisting one turn. This is the coil. Now see here. Here these are the 3 positions of the coil. Position 1, position 2 and position 3. You can see there are the 3 positions of the coil. Now when the coil is moved here, you can see here it is like this. This is the magnet and this is the coil. Coil is moved towards the magnet. Coil is moved away from the magnet. You can see here. Coil is moved towards the magnet. Coil is moved away from the magnet. So when it is moved towards the magnet, what will happen? Magnetic flux linkage through the coil will change. It's clear. Or when it is moved in this direction, In that case also magnetic flux linkage will decrease. Here it will increase. Means, or the other way, you keep the coil here and move the magnet. So when the magnet is moved towards the coil, magnetic flux linkage through the coil is increasing. When magnet is brought away from the coil, magnetic flux linkage is decreasing. So due to relative motion, what will happen? Due to relative motion between coil connected with galvanometer and magnet, what will happen? There will be change in magnetic flux associated through the coil. There will be the change in magnetic flux associated through the coil, and due to this changing magnetic flux, what will happen? Due to this changing magnetic flux, EMF induces in the coil. EMF induces in the coil. Now see here. Here I am taking, so what is the real cause of electromagnetic induction? It is the change of magnetic flux because of the relative motion. Change of magnetic flux associated with the coil. This is the real cause. Now see here. Suppose when the coil is at this position, at the position 1, how much flux is linked with it? Suppose 5 Weber. And when it is brought to position 3, it is 40 Weber. Here 5 Weber flux is linked, here 40 Weber flux is linked. So what will be the change of flux? Change of flux will be 40 minus 5, that is 35 Weber. Now if you see here, in one case it is brought from here to here in 1 second. And then in the other case it is brought from here to here in 10 seconds. Once it is brought from this position to this position in 1 second, and then it is brought in 10 seconds. So how much will be the change of flux? In both cases, change of flux will be how much? It will be 35 Weber. But rate of change of flux, it is change in flux per unit time. So see here, it is more in which case? In this case it is more, because it is 35 upon 1, that is 35 Weber per second. While in the second case it is what? 35 is the change of flux, 10 second is the time taken, so it is 3.5 Weber per second. So since more the rate of change of flux in this case, therefore in this case a greater EMF will be induced, a greater current will be induced. Means the magnitude of induced EMF, magnitude of induced current, it will depend upon what? Rate of change of magnetic flux, that is change in flux per unit time. It will depend upon change in flux per unit time. So see here, on the basis of these experiments, Faraday had given a law of electromagnetic induction. So see here, what is the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction? Faraday law of electromagnetic induction. According to it, whenever there is change in magnetic flux, change in magnetic flux associated to a coil, then an EMF induces in the coil. An EMF induces in the coil, which EMF induces in the coil. If coil is in closed circuit, then current is also induced. This induced EMF is directly proportional to negative rate of change of magnetic flux associated to coil. What is Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction? According to the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, whenever there is a change in magnetic flux associated to a coil, then an EMF induces in the coil. If coil is in closed circuit, then current is also induced. This induced EMF is directly proportional to negative rate of change of magnetic flux. Negative rate of change of magnetic flux means if flux changes by delta phi b in time delta t. In time delta t, flux is changed by delta phi b. So, what will be the rate of change of magnetic flux? Rate of change of magnetic flux. This will be equals to delta phi b upon delta t. Means induced EMF E is equal to directly proportional to minus delta phi b upon delta t. Or we also write it as E equals to minus delta phi b upon delta t. It is also written in this way. Now see here, if there are n turns in the coil, instead of having one turn, suppose there is n turn and it is closely wounded, so that the same change is taking place through every turn. It's clear. So see here, if there is a coil, if the coil is closely wounded, and consisting enters, then it is given by, then induced EMF is given by E equals to minus n delta phi b upon delta t. It's clear this, or we can write it as minus delta n phi b upon delta t. What is n phi b? It is called the total magnetic flux linkage. Total magnetic flux linkage. Flux linkage through the coil. It's clear. In the calculus we call it as E equals to minus dn phi b upon dt. This way also we write. Now what is the purpose of this minus sign? What is the purpose of this negative sign? It's clear. Now see here, negative sign shows that the direction of induced EMF will be such which will oppose the cause by which it is produced. It's clear. It will oppose the cause by which it is produced. It's clear. So negative sign signifies here only, negative sign signifies that induced EMF or current opposes the cause by which it is produced. By which it is produced. It's clear. Means if the EMF is induced because of the decreasing magnetic flux, then current will be such which will try to increase that flux. Suppose here, when you will bring the coil from here to here, what will happen? The magnetic flux linkage is increasing. So induced current which will be induced in this will be such which will produce its induced flux. Because when current will be induced, जब इस पे current induce होगी, then the flux will also produce, because it will produce current carrying conductor, current carrying coil, produce the magnetic field. So because of the induced current, the flux which induces will flow opposite to this, so that it can decrease to increasing flux. When you bring the coil from here to here, there will be the change of flux which is increasing in nature. This increasing flux will induce a current which will try to decrease it. Means current will be such which will produce the induced flux opposite to this. It is running in this direction, it will produce in this direction. It's clear. Similarly, when you take it from here to here, the flux linkage is decreasing. Therefore, current will be induced, and this induced current will set up the induced flux in the same direction in which this flux is running. It's clear. So, this is the significance of minus sign is this. Now, this is also known as the Lenz's law. This law is also known as Lenz's law. What is Lenz's law? Direction of induced current is always such which opposes the cause by which it is produced. Lenz's law. Direction of induced current is always such which opposes the cause by which it is produced. By which it is produced. This is the Lenz's law. Now there is one more law to find the direction of induced current, that is Fleming's right hand rule. So that I will tell you afterwards when there will be the use of that. It's clear. Now you can find the induced current and induced charge also. What is the induced EMF? Induced EMF equals to minus N delta phi B upon delta T. If resistance of coil is R, then current will be what? I equals to E upon R. In calculation, we can skip this minus sign. This minus sign is only for determining the direction of induced current. So see here, it will be equal to N upon R. You put the value delta phi B upon delta T. So this is the induced current. Now induced charge. How much charge is induced? So I into delta T. I into delta T, it will be N upon R into delta phi B. It's clear? Means whether you bring the coil from here to here in 1 second or in 10 seconds, same amount of charge will induce. Because it only depend upon charge, only depend upon delta phi, and delta phi is same. So in this lecture we will do only up to here. Now in the next lecture we will cover the topics after this. Thank you.